Wow. Thank you all very much. That's fantastic. I've now got to follow all that. And everyone's saying, oh, you're really lucky. You're last. Of course, I'll be the one that sticks in everyone's memory, which will also be the slightly worrying thing. I now have to do something clever, like dash across there and do that. Also, I've never written a speech before in my life. I've always done them off cue. Roger's nodding there. Roger once was my boss, and he probably despaired of the fact I never wrote a speech in my life. So this might go really badly, in which case this was all just to make the other speakers feel more comfortable.
We're grateful.
Okay, art. If anyone here believes in arts for art's sake, they should probably leave. This speech is based on the fact that art is everything, and the development, and I suppose I've kind of mixed in with it, the development of blogging and what it might teach us about engaging people in arts and culture. Well, that worked. So in July 2010, our favourite man, Mr. Eric Pickles, although I did see a fantastic photo of him going like this, and I thought, it just reminded me of Lauren Hardy. Oh, what a fine mess you got me into. Anyway, he made this, now infamous, ill-informed judgment, which was about his comments on audience development and that it was a non-job. Now, actually, I found the source of this, and it's actually the Scottish Sun from 2009, and they were talking about librarians. And so, obviously, his highly paid researchers were sat there reading the Sun in 2009, a year before he said anything, going, oh, look at that librarian. What do you do when you're Google imaging librarians to find that? Anyway, sorry. So, frequently, we've been talking about audiences and what our audience is, and we focused at Audiences South about audiences. All the audience development agencies changed their names to being audiences something, apart from a few. But it was all about the audience. Maybe we got that wrong. So here's a picture. I'm not an artist, John, but I'm working on it. Here's a picture of somebody performing, perhaps even talking, going blah, 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 and the audience is sitting there watching. They're witnesses, they're coming, they're listening, they're perhaps watching, they're perhaps listening, and then they're going to go away again. And you just perform. But with the ever-increasing numbers of channels of media and alternatives being fed to people, it's easy just to sit there and just be entertained. Thrust at you. So we've started to give audiences a choice. As organisations. In York, we've got the example of Takeover Theatre, where the audience starts to allow them to choose what they want to stand up for or what they want to come along, and hoping that by giving them choice, we can engage them in something that they want to experience. The timing of this is exciting. And we started to do audiences, or cultural organisations, to start a conversation, to get them to talk to us. What's interesting is in the world of blogging, if you have an audience, you're doing really badly. Because they don't want audiences. What they want is a community. It's a place where people gather around a context that they can share with each other. They sit in groups, they share conversations. And my favourite quote was, and the role of the organisation, of the blogger, is to cook and serve food for them, and you sit down and you eat with those who join you in your community. And some, if you're very lucky, even help you cook. So this is a picture of a community project. These are from Lend Us a Hand project in Hastings. And these are hands of people in the community of Hastings taking part in an arts project, being part of a community. But we've got a slightly weird concept of community. We think about communities perhaps being places where we have community allotments. This is community allotments. But what I notice when I see that picture is it's multi-generational. There are people of different ages enjoying something collectively together. And I start to think, that's quite exciting. Communities are exciting places. And then I get reminded of things like this, which is far too much flag waving and street parties. But I do at least like the fact that somebody took piss out of the Queen in this picture. So, what are we looking for? Well, there is a future for bloggers, and those bloggers are teaching something called tribes. And a tribe cares about one giant cause. And the exciting thing about a tribe is that you're allowed to be the leader of a tribe. And those of you who've worked for me will know that I like being a leader. And when you're the leader, you can enable people with passion, and you give them a context, and you say, go on, do something exciting about anything. whatever that thing could be. And so this is my opportunity. What is the cause? What is the thing that arts and cultural organisations can create that will build a tribe around them? What is that thing? Come on. There are things that we could get excited about at the moment. There are lots of people getting excited about causes and becoming tribes. This is from the student marches. I quite like the one about I've always wanted to be a bin man in the bottom right hand. So there's a sense that movement and change is happening, and it reminds me of all the stuff that I read about when I was younger about the arts in the 60s and the 70s. Ironically, a time of massive funding for the culture rather than no funding. And I read this lovely thing about art without message is mere decoration, message without art is a placard. Let's go back to that previous slide and re-look at that. So the 60s was something exciting. I don't want to sound too thin, but there's Woody Guthrie with his fantastically famous thing, "This machine kills fascists." From that past, we brought something together. And in that heavily subsidised theatre, we created communities who wished to engage in the arts. Bob Marley. Sorry, Leo, but we have to have some reggae. Is talked about No Woman, No Cry in No Woman, No Cry. Now, in No Woman, No Cry, he talks about, it's sometimes confused as not that the fact that if you lack women, you lack tears, but the fact he's speaking to his mother saying, don't cry, the future is exciting. No woman, don't cry. So the future's massively changing. This is the wonderful moment when the 1-hour photo processing shop bought new technology and turned themselves into the 59-minute processing shop. But it's not that small change that we want an enormous change. And in a crowded world, what I'm talking about is relevance. And what has been really exciting about listening to everyone speak today is this is what everyone's been talking about. And that's fantastic. Because it's about context, curation, community, conversation, relevance. Thank you. Okay, so I managed to control the slides so we can hold on. Thank you. This is Brooklyn Bridge in the States, graffiti. Very exciting, I like it. I wanted to say a number of thank yous. Firstly, I wanted to thank all the speakers today for being fantastic, wonderful, and so forth. So, should we get a rolling applause thing going? If I just say people's names and you just start clapping, thank you, Joe. I also wanted to thank the staff of Audiences South who put this together, particularly Ada, who spent far too much time. And also, could I have a download copy of all those dodgy photographs you have of me, because I don't really want them to be shared with anybody else ever again. Those very strange photographs. So that's those things. But there's a whole load of people that made Audiences South successful. A lot of those people are in this room today. And that's been really lovely. I was saying earlier at tea break, and one of the nicest things about today was being able to get the people who I wanted to give a platform to speak, to have a platform to speak. I'm feeling that Petra Kuchers, if I could find a way of making money, could be the future business model that I'm looking at. So I thought about that for 5 minutes and then, God, I'm going to have no friends in about 5 minutes when I've asked them all to speak. Let's do this right. Audiences South was a fantastic organisation. It was built up from the very start by John Matthews and Ellis, who years and years ago set up that database and started doing stuff. We were the first organisation to take Mosaic into the culture sector and pilot Mosaic. I still think we are the cutting edge. Although Leah and I were discussing that segmentation systems are becoming slightly, we're going to have an own segmentation system for your segmentation system. And it reminds me somewhat of that time, I don't know if anyone else had this experience, when they used to go to somebody's house as a child, and they go, oh, do you like macaroni and cheese? And I never used to like macaroni and cheese. And I said, no, I don't like macaroni and cheese. And they go, oh, but you haven't tried my macaroni and cheese. And I feel like we might be getting to that point of segmentation, but anyway, moving on. We've been through the days of Southern Arts and worked closely with Southern Arts as Arts and Marketing Hampshire, as AMH. We have Julie Eaglin needs a mention as a fantastic director of Arts Marketing Hampshire. They're all fantastic people. There's been a number of people in the past who also made that a successful organisation, some of them who are here today and some of them who haven't. There was a sad moment when I found a piece of photograph Matthew Cleaver of you and I, both very young, doing a project called Inroads. When I was at the Watermill Theatre 15 years ago, and you were at the Anvil then. Oh, you were still. And it's a lovely photograph, and there's Les Dennis and us all gathered around in a village hall, serving fish and chips to people and trying to get them to go to the arts. And I was going to say, I think if I had one image that was left of summarising what Audiences South does, Les Dennis, fish and chips, and bringing people together in a rural village hall couldn't be a better way to describe what we do. Thank you very much, everybody.